All right, so today we're going to talk about a topic, smarter care, stronger ecosystem, how AI become the co-pilot of healthcare transformation. Before that, I'll show an image in my tablet. I don't know if the Regi can make it big. Yeah, so for those who recognize this, please raise your hand. All right, okay, we have someone who used Microsoft Office. All right, so the Clippy lived for 10 years. It was so annoying, and everyone wanted to get rid of it. However, today, if you look at the latest advance in AI, and recently with the advent of Gen AI, and most recently, agentic AI, technology has evolved a lot compared to the past. So we have tools today that could help us get answer, orchestrate operation, and as you've heard from the previous session, technology is evolving. There's a tremendous need to still advancing the healthcare ecosystem. Doctors still struggling with filling forms. There's a lot of wait time. We're trying today to discuss the topic from more like human ecosystem perspective rather than technology perspective. So I'm happy to have with me today three panelists from the Pharma Insights, from the startup, and also from the European Parliament. So I'll give them 1 minute to give a brief introduction about themselves. We start from Marie.
Hello everyone, very happy to be here. So I'm Marie-Maurice. I am Associate Director, Innovation and Digital for Amgen France. And as you mentioned, Amgen is a biotech pharma, an American one, and we mainly work in oncology and hematology, also in rare disease and in inflammation.
Thank you. Nicolas?
Hi everyone, my name is Nicolas Gatulle. I'm an anesthesiologist here in Paris and also an entrepreneur. I have a startup named PaperDoc, and basically we've built an ecosystem of AI solutions to help HCPs, researchers, and patients to find the right scientific and medical information and fighting against fake news.
So, my name is Axel Voss. Thanks for having me, and good morning to everyone. And I'm a politician from the center-right group in the European Parliament, coming from Germany. And I'm a lawyer by my background, and I have dealt with this wonderful data protection regulation, AI, the last mandate, and in between the copyright element to bring this in line with the social media.
Now that I know you're a lawyer, I have to be too careful to what I say.
Oh, yes.
All right. So I'll start with Marie. Can you, from your perspective and the work you have done so far, tell us what you see as the major challenges in adopting AI within your ecosystem and within Amgen?
Okay, so thank you for the question. First, I start by saying that we have been testing and piloting projects with AI for a couple of years, so this is not something new. And as you mentioned at the beginning, the technology is there, and the technology is evolving very quickly. So the first thing that comes to mind is that probably the technology is evolving much faster than the ecosystem. So if I had to sum up in 3 sentences what the main challenges are for us, I would start with data. Many mention it. I would say AI is only as strong as the data it learns from. The second thing is that innovation must move at the speed of trust. And the third thing, and that comes to your point, is technology adoption is human transformation first. So if I give you a concrete example, we tested an algorithm with a startup called OSP a couple years ago. What we wanted to do is compare the result on a clinical trial patient's recruitment. The idea was we already done the clinical trial. We wanted to check if with the technology we could find faster and more patients to recruit. The result was very appealing, very exciting. But if I deep dive, it took such a long time to do so. Why? The first one is there is no one-click magic solution. So you need to have the right actor around the table. And by that, I mean that the data governance is really important. It's not just like knowing which actor you want to work with, but it's also knowing how it will work, what authorization you will need from the hospital, but also from the regulatory, for instance, the CNIL in France. The second thing is, you have the technology, but how to use it. And the idea at the end is not just the startups using the technology, it's basically the HCPs that will need to use the technology. And we see that they need to be trained, they need to understand how the technology is working. And to give you like a concrete example, what we wanted to check is some different criteria for the clinical trial. And one of them is a biomarker with 6 letters, 2 figures. You don't know how many ways you have to write these biomarkers. So if you don't put every option in the algorithm, you probably won't have the good result. It doesn't mean that the AI is not working. It means that you haven't the right parameters. And for that, you need to train the HCPs. And this is something that is very important. We have been also doing the same approach within Amgen. So how to make sure our collaborators understand what it does, what it doesn't, because it's also something important. And then make sure you support them when the technology is evolving. And I'm sure that it echoes what the HCP, the hospital is also saying.
Thank you, Mari. Nicolas, from your perspective as at the same time a doctor and a founder of a startup, so what the challenges you see from both sides?
Thank you for the question. I think that maybe 1 or 2 years ago, old times regarding technology, the main challenge was the adoption of AI. HCPs were asking, what is AI? What can I do with it? How is it working? Is it trustable? Where my data go? So it was mostly a matter of adoption to, as you said, to train the HCPs and researchers, etc., and patients and educate them on what is AI. I think today there is a kind of a new shift because it's more or less agreed with everyone that AI has benefits for care and for daily workflows or whatever. But now I think the main challenge is mostly the integration of AI. And maybe you have a new name for the next event next year, not adopt AI, but integrate AI. And this is a huge challenge for us, and providers, big providers, hospitals, public or private, the pharma industry, research labs, whatever, have really understood the benefits that AI can bring. But the process of integration is still really fragmented and very long, for a simple reason. The final user is not the decision maker, and the decision maker is not the final payer. And I'm not talking about security matters, etc. So processes are very long, and when we talk to providers, we have all these meetings, these very long meetings, and it seems that no one talks to each other in these providers. And we need to rethink a way to foster the integration of AI solutions, because technology is going very fast, as you said, and it's still very slow on the field. And on the one hand, we are very agile, compliant, you name it, startups, and sorry, but very, very slow providers. We need to think of a new way to work together and to integrate AI together, even though it's not perfect, because we should not forget that AI can make mistakes as us humans, but it's okay. We need to accept that and work together and find a way to integrate it faster, because there are no doubt that it's good for HCPs, and mostly because at the end of this story, for patients, because the whole goal of this is to take care of patients at the end of the day.
Thank you, Nicolas. Axel, having heard Marie and Nicolas challenges, so from your side at the European level, how that translates or amplify, if I can say?
Yeah. So, of course, at first, what I would like to say is Europe can provide to the world a lot of wonderful things in linking values with technology. But therefore, we need to reinvent ourselves, and we need to have more speed, what was mentioned, and we do not should fragment ourselves in such a way. So these are elements I totally agree. We need to change these. We need a kind of a new strategic plan, a new speed, new intensity, new scale up, and so on. And that's why the problem here is sometimes, of course, the mindset of politicians. Then old democratic structures we are into, we need to come to a situation where we have a kind of a decision within 3 months. And this would be a way forward where we can be more flexible and having, and also trying to think about how we can access quality data. This is needed. Without data, it means nothing at all. So this quality data is something we need to think about, how we can access these, how can we balance these with privacy or data protection issues, and so on. And this is a kind of a challenge, especially in political terms.
And when it goes from country level to European level, how that is dealt with? Because again, like you have challenges in every country. Now, when you get them together, does it make it a bigger challenge, or some of the challenges are solved in one country could help the other country?
Yeah, of course, as a politician, you are hoping that technical or technological issues might bridge the not existing interoperability with systems. So that's why we need, and we will have also upcoming in this year, the proposal for standardization. So this might help also in this global race, but also for us in Europe. And but you're totally right. The thinking on national level is more national and not. And I'm extremely convinced we need to join our forces to change the competition worldwide.
Thank you. Back to Marie. Now that we talked about the challenges faced, can you describe some of the opportunity you see or some of the initiative that have been taken to address those challenges?
Yeah, sure. So the first one, and talking about ecosystem, I would say that no single actor can innovate healthcare alone. And this is something very important for us. So how to see AI not as a competitive edge, but as a collaborative bridge between pharma, tech, and care providers. I think we need alignment between actors, and whether you're a multinational, you're a startup, you're an hospital or a regulator, how we can all play a role and how we can share goals, share language, and share trust to advance. So 2 concrete opportunities I see on that point. And thinking at the end of the patient is how AI can help us accelerate clinical trials, how to make sure the innovation go faster to the patient. And this is something that we have been testing and piloting. It's promising, but we still need to go faster to make sure that it works. The second one is how to engage more public and private actors together, and I would like to highlight one strong initiative which is called the FIAC. Probably some of you may know this consortium. So it's a national consortium with leading public and private stakeholders. Amgen is a co-founder of the FIAC. And what they are looking is how to better integrate AI in oncology. Why? To improve the research, but also the patient outcomes. And what we see is, if I take one concrete example, which is called the Dante project, what we have been doing is in the same table, we have different technologies, so different innovators. We have also different pharma industry, but we also have the health authority, so the HIAs, and how to build, to co-create the project together to make sure we will be able to deliver it. And the idea is to tackle one burden, which is around early access dossiers. So the HCPs, they need to enter lots of data when we have early access. And the authority asks us to have at least 80 to 90% of completion. The reality is today 20%. It takes time, it's really complicated. So our AI could help us to better enter and have all the quality data. So we will probably start the project next year, but to go back to your question, for me the opportunity is really work together to use AI as a tool and not as like the purpose per se, and to tackle like very huge burden we see on the ground.
Thank you, Marie. Nicolas, again, like if you use your double hat being a doctor and at the same time a CEO, your understanding of two environment, how you would see opportunity in trying to bridge the gap between these two words?
From the entrepreneur's perspective, I'd say that, as I said earlier, we should map this triangle between the user, the final user, and the decision maker and the payer, etc., to accelerate the integration of AI. And also maybe work hands in hands with the providers to build the next technologies. We really have to put them all around the table and build things together and build this ecosystem, as you said, between providers and startups. And from an HCP perspective, regarding my experience and what I see with my colleagues and friends, I think we should place the human at the center of the innovation. Most of the questions and fears regarding AI and technology is will I be replaced by those technologies? Because for the first time in history, we have a technology that can make decisions, but we should not forget that we have the final say, and we can say no to a decision, and we need to imply those HCPs, researchers, and patients, as we do, to build the next technologies altogether. I always take this example of this streaming platforms without naming one. The ultimate goal of this platform is to watch a film or a series or whatever. And we don't see all the AI inside it. They are full of AI algorithms, and the ultimate goal is to watch a film, and at the end of the day, the person will say if she or he likes the movie or not. It should be the same regarding the integration of AI in the field. And we need to imply more and more these HCPs. I remember I had this example of a friend building a startup, and she was talking to doctors, and at the end of the day, at the end of the meeting, the doctor said, "Your startup is great and your speech is great for investors, but it's not useful for us." And she hadn't think about asking doctors if it would be helpful for them. It's the same regarding patients. So from an NGP point of view, let's place the human at the center of the decision, and the human will have the final say.
Thank you, Nicolas. I'll get back to that point later, but I'll have a word from Axel on his perspective in terms of opportunities.
So, of course, the preconditions of everything is infrastructure, money, cybersecurity. And this is what we have to face or to install these in a proper way. But then coming to AI, these kind of excess of data, we need to balance these with our privacy or data protection issues. And of course, if you're looking to the data protection principles from the last century, then all of a sudden you're noticing, only for one purpose, and deleting and data minimization. All of a sudden we have a technology that needs total the opposite of this. And so deleting data today means throwing away resources. But politically it's very, very hard to come to such a situation where I would consider now we can be satisfied with. But the European health data space, this is something what we need now to fill with life. Data protection, we need to adopt these to the technology, etc. And the AI Act, I would have laughed if we could have started with what we would like to achieve with AI instead of where are the risks and everywhere. So this would be a kind of a better starting point, but now it's differently. I do not have the majorities for my other thinking, but now we have to make the best out of it. The digital so-called omnibus is coming, so we can reduce some of bureaucratic issues and aligning some legal tools or legal regulations and directives, and this might help, but it's not the 100% I'm expecting.
So I'll be a little bit provocative here. Are we looking at the right spot in trying to address all this problem of ecosystem? Because we talked about privacy, we talked about challenges, we talked about human in the loop, but when we talk, for instance, about human in the loop, what human are you considering? Because it's so vague, and we are facing a challenge that is today, we have technology, we have a lot of what it takes to be successful, but yet we're not there. And again, we represent different parts of the ecosystem, and we have different level on the ecosystem. So you have the people working on the data, the people working on the technology, you have the people making the decision, and those paying for the project. And my understanding, and from my experience, is there's a disconnect between these different components, and we work in silo and island. And in 1 minute, because we still have 4, what would be your thoughts on what could be the future of a stronger ecosystem? So what is the one thing that from your opinion, we have to focus on that is missing today to help move the needle? Because as if we are in a kitchen, all the ingredients are there, but we don't know what to cook and how to cook it.
Difficult to answer.
In 1 minute.
So what we are seeing is, and this was mentioned, the changes are so fast that we need to have more management in administration, in politics and so on, instead of waiting till the last man is also on board. So that's why we need to have more management skills in these areas. We need to be fast and then a kind of a top-down approach. Otherwise, I do not see how we might come forward with it. And then, of course, there are always small little details around what might be political, extremely difficult to solve. Because we are too fragmented, and we need to have a radical thinking of changing, and let me put this in this sentence: break things fast. This
Thank you.
would be.
Nicolas?
Difficult to answer, it's true. I'd say put the human at the center of the innovation process, as I said earlier. The best way for us as an HEP and also an entrepreneur is to develop solutions that help on the daily life, and remember that, as I said before, what people are most afraid of regarding HCPs and patients is, will I be replaced, or there's this new technology that can make a decision. But we must not forget that at the end of the day, as I said, the human will have the final say, and it's just another technology. And we need to educate also people on how it works, the limits, the risks. It's true for any medication, any new drug. You have a list of way to give it, doses, etc. So it's the same with AI. You can use it in some situations, maybe not in others, and maybe be more careful. But we need to work hand in hand with the final users, who are the HCPs and the patients.
Thank you, Nicolas. Marie?
So my worry is more like, how do we make sure that Europe doesn't protect so well that it forgets to innovate, and to echo what you mentioned. When I see Europe, I do think that we have the data, we have the talent, and we have the science. So we have good bases, like the foundation. So now is more how to speed and also how to align. And for that, I think we need to work together and to allow us like to test and learn, because it's only by testing, having like concrete results, showing them to the authority, discussing with them, are we allowed to do so, that we will be able to move forward. But we need to start from one point, and I think that the discussion has to be ongoing and make sure like the different actors are around the table. It's only like that, like the ecosystem will be stronger.
Thank you, Marie. I can concur more. I think the notion of cross-disciplinary team is very important, because today we're trying to split the problem, make it in small pieces, and let everyone solve their pieces, and trying to bring back what they solved and assemble it together. However, in reality, it's more complex than that. So the way of thinking should be different. So we should start first by having everyone around the table, trying to make sure that there's a cross-understanding between the different people around the table. Because here we have different backgrounds. Sometimes we're trying to tackle the problem, and even you say we're trying to give an answer about one vision, and all the vision are different because it's based on our different backgrounds. So the whole point is like how we can bring the people in the decision making and then on the brainstorming session in the beginning. Once everyone understand, at least they have an interface of understanding, because we don't expect, for instance, someone who spent all their career in data science will understand like something coming from a low perspective. But however, there could be like a minimum understanding that will help us to communicate between each other. And just a story, I was giving a presentation to our privacy team one time, and it was about like what is the right trade-off between privacy and utility. And there's no right or wrong, and we cannot have like one answer that will fit all the scenario. So the whole point is really trying to start with a problem, bring the right people around the table, and trying to make a dynamic plan, because we are in a very changing world, and the complexity is evolving and changing from one area to another. But the key element of a successful ecosystem, from my perspective, is having all the level and all the talent around the table, trying to solve one single problem, how we can help patients to have a better future. With that, I thank you all for your contribution, and I give the floor back.